Hello guys and welcome to my channel. My name is Jesper Offersen and today we are going to talk about something that can happen with age. And one of the things that can happen with age is of course that your skin and all that sort of stuff starts to be a bit not as potent as you would like it to be. Something else that can happen when you get a little older is that there is something called Erectile Dysfunction or Erectile Dysfunction, and that is obviously not something that is nice to look forward to, but it does sort of kind of like happens as you get older and older. Some people will be more affected by it than others. So if you would like to put a spring back in your boner, this video is for you. Or we can say that if you would like an explanation on erectile dysfunction top to bottom, this video is for you. So let's get started and dig in. One of those things you can do is something you can do in general for your skin. So what you would like is actually to plump up your skin. In order to do that, you need a bit of a good blood flow in your body, and I am sure you have heard before that when it comes to erectile dysfunction, then it is a matter of blood flow. So the blood flow into your lower extremities. So what happens as you get older is that your arteries will start to be a bit more stiff. So they will be a bit more calcified, or they will actually start to be calcified. So one of those things that is a good thing to do is to make sure that you don't have a lot of calcium in your arteries and it is deposited there, because what happens is that your arteries will not be that flexible anymore. And when you want something that is to be a good blood flow through your arteries, then you need something that is flexible. So one of the things you can do in order to help your arteries is to use a vitamin called vitamin K2. And I guess you have heard about that if you have looked into diseases of the arteries and stuff like that. So vitamin K2 is actually something that is relatively new when it comes to, well, it has existed always, but it's something that is relatively new in the sense of a topic to talk about when we are talking about the arteries. So why would I know something about erectile dysfunction? Well, it is so that when you get older, a lot of things happens in your body, and one of those things that can happen is that nitric oxide might not work as well as it used to do. And nitric oxide, that is something that relaxes your arteries. So the walls of the arteries will be relaxed when there is enough nitric oxide. So why would I know about nitric oxide? Well, it is so, as I have spoken about it before, my husband, he has a disease called muscular dystrophy, and with that disease you can have some issues when you are eating. And what happens there is that, or can happen when you have that genetic disorder, is that those cells that are lining your arteries, they are smooth muscle cells. They can kind of like not work as they are supposed to do. So when you are eating something and you have that disease, it might get stuck in your esophagus. So what happens is that the sphincter in your esophagus will start to cramp. So the reason for that is that the smooth muscle cells, they are not working as they are supposed to. So one thing you can do is to take a supplement, an amino acid. That amino acid is one of those amino acids that will help your body produce nitric oxide. So the amino acid that we are talking about is something called L-arginine, and I buy it from a company called Bulk Powders, or now it's only called Bulk. So this is one of their old bags. And what has happened is that for my husband, it was like he had cramps when we were eating, kind of like 4 or 5 times a week, and it would last kind of like half an hour, and that would be around dinner time every time. So that was quite a problem. So finding L-arginine to help with that was really a blessing, I must say. And from that day on, using that amino acid, it was no longer a problem. So what happened was that I looked into what actually was going on, and I realized that nitric oxide was one of the issues with the smooth muscle cells. So I am in general taking a lot of amino acids, as you might have noticed from some of my other videos, and I'm always looking into what else does these things do in the body. Are there something I could talk about in order to help people that have other problems than what is the issues that I am dealing with? So looking at L-arginine, I realized that when you read about erectile dysfunction, then nitric oxide is an issue. So one of the things you can do is to take L-arginine, and that will help your arteries to dilate, and more blood will flow into your lower extremities. So that is one of those things you can do. Now, I would just say that today we are not talking about erectile dysfunction in the sense that if you have some emotional issues and stuff like that, this will help with that. This is something that is about what is going on physically in the body. So it's not about what can happen mentally if you are having some mental issues, and that affects your how your body is working. So here we are talking about the physiological stuff about what is going on when you have an issue with the erectile dysfunction. So I am, as I said, taking a lot of amino acids, and when I do that, I notice a lot of things going on with my body. And one of the things I normally would take an amino acid for is to do something for my skin. So my complexion, the plumpness of my skin, and in general also I know that if something is something I would get from my food anyway is helping my body to look better or younger than it actually is, then I know that it is most likely also good for the rest of my body. And usually then I start to go in and have a look at if something is an amino acid is helping with making my skin look more plump, is there something else it will be doing in my body that is good for my body? And also finding out, is there something that might not be as good as I thought it might be, and therefore maybe one should lower the dose or something like that. So what I have spoken about before is something called glycine. So the amino acid called glycine, or glycine as you would say, that works in the body in the sense that when you are eating it, it will suppress your hunger, and I have made a video about that, and you can see that up here. So if you have some issues with that, you are not really feeling full when you are eating, and therefore you are overeating, then glycine might be something that you should look into, and you can do that by watching my video on that amino acid. So why are we talking about glycine today? Well, it is so that when I started to take glycine, various things happened with my body. Something happened with my hair, but other things happened as well. And that was usually when it was in the middle of the night. Because what happens during the night, if you are a man, you will know what happens several times during the night. I am not that familiar with how it works for women, but I know that it works in a certain way for a man during the night. And particularly that is something you maybe are a little bit annoyed with when you are a teenager, because it can be very a lot. And then as you get older, it starts to become less and less and less. Now, what happened when I started to take glycine was that I felt the blood flowing through my veins in a different way, or in a stronger way than it normally did. So what happened is that, well, if just to say it as it is, if you are a man, then during the night you will have what is called a boner. So it will happen several times a night, and if you are sleeping throughout the night, you will not notice that. But when you get maybe a little older, or if you are in general are not sleeping that well, you will notice things going on with your body. But as I said, as you get older and older, it will happen less and less. So what I noticed was that taking glycine, and I take this one here, and again, that is from the company called Bulk, and now they call it a Bulk. bulk.com, and I have nothing to do with that company. It is just where I find that this product is the cheapest and where it is the easiest way to get hold of it. So you can get glycine kind of like in many sort of supplement stores, and this is pure glycine. So what happened is that you will get a very strong boner during the night, and you're kind of like, okay, is it gonna burst? Well, it didn't, but it really told me that something is actually going on, and I thought, I know that there is a lot of people that are having problems with erectile dysfunction, so I thought I would make a little short video about what you can easily do. And I mean, L-arginine and glycine or L-glycine, that is not something that is particularly expensive, and I am sure that if you are watching this video here, you have come across a lot of supplements or medications that are not exactly cheap, that promises a lot of stuff. So these things here, these amino acids here, they are something that you would normally get from your food, but if you just get it from your food, you won't get enough to make the difference that I am talking about. So how much should you take of these supplements here? Well, I am taking a certain amount, and I'm not taking it because of what I'm talking about today. I'm taking it because I would like my body to be as youthful as possible, and for as long as possible. So in that sense, I have not looked into how much one should take in order to get the effect that I'm talking about today. So these things here, they are more about what do I normally take. So it might be that you don't need to take as much as I take. You might need to take a little bit more, but as always with amino acids like these ones here, what I talk about is it is a lot more than you would get from your diet. So there will be a limit as to how much you should actually take. It might be that at a certain amount it is great, but at a higher amount it is maybe not that great. So I just take like a water like this one here. So I like a Buxton here from England, and what I do in general, I take a lot of amino acids, but just to keep it simple for those two amino acids I have here, I would just take a funnel, and then I take a spoon. So how much is there in this one here? Well, I have spoken about how many milligrams or grams that I'm taking of various amino acids, but it is a little bit difficult when you are just having a loose powder like in a bag like this. So maybe it is a little bit easier to take a spoon like this, and in here there is 5 milliliter. So what I do is I simply take the L-arginine, take the powder. So I take a spoon like this, and I take one of those in the evening. So I don't take it in the morning. The L-arginine I only take it in the evening, and I take it with my other amino acids. So I don't kind of like get this this very strong taste that it has, because I can just say it as it is. It tastes absolutely horrendous. So what else do I add to something like this? Or if I was only taking these amino acids here, I would add the glycine that we have here. And it is so very lucky with this amino acid that it actually tastes really nice. And it actually tastes really sweet. But it doesn't affect your glucose level in the body. So that's great. But still, that if you are diabetic, it might have some sort of an influence on that you should look into. So what I do in the evening, I take a scoop again like this. So that would be 5 milliliters, and just add it in here. So like that. And then you just shake it up like that. So give it a good shake up and down, and not to be funny, but then you just go and swallow. So yikes. It is, I mean, normally I don't drink it like that, because I take the L-arginine with other amino acids that kind of like camouflage the awful taste of it. So here I have, if you just mix it like this, you will get a sort of a taste of rotten fish and something sweet. So I would say if you are taking amino acids, you can get this in a capsule form. That is just a way lot more expensive. That's why I always use the loose powders. But if you mix it with some other amino acid, it might go down a little easier. So do I take some of these here in the morning? Well, I do, because I do take the glycine here. I take that one in the morning, and I take a scoop again like this. So that would be kind of like 10 milliliters during the day. So I would take 5 milliliters like this. I know it is a bit crazy to say milliliters when you're talking about something that is not liquid, but it is actually a little bit easier to handle instead of a kitchen scale with these smaller amounts. So that way, if you are taking something like this, the glycine in the morning, you just have something sweet. So when you wake up in the morning, you can just have a bottle of this with just the glycine by your bed, and then you can start the morning by drinking maybe half a bottle or something like that. That is what I do, and also because it kind of like suppresses your hunger. So and that you can read about or hear about in the video up here. So yes, these things here, the vitamin K2 and the glycine and the L-arginine, that is how I am doing something to make my body look younger and feel younger and be younger than it is actually when you're looking at how old I am. So yes, this was my tip on how you can quickly and easily and very inexpensively do something for if your boner is not as woody as you would like it to be. So I will write down here how much of the vitamin K I take and from what brand I use, but you can get it kind of like many places. But at the moment I am out of stock, and I will have it shipped in very soon, so I can continue taking my vitamin K2. So if you would like to see more of this sort of videos, please subscribe, hit the bell, and do all the things you must do in order to be notified when I upload more of this sort of videos. Thank you for watching. See you. Bye.